All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive investigation into some really fascinating year to date headline news trends, unpacking a staggering geopolitical infrastructure crisis that is, quite literally, hiding in plain sight. We are talking about a massive, highly specific supply chain, municipal solid waste, or MSW, and its disposal. Export shipped straight across the border from Ontario, Canada, to U.S. landfills in Michigan. It is a crazy intersection of international trade, Washington tariffs, and cutting edge tech. So let's get into it. To really grasp the sheer scale of this, you have to picture Ontario as a bathtub that just never stops filling up. For years, it's relied on this one crucial pressure release drain. And that drain? It's the 3.46 million tons of municipal solid waste shipped across the U.S. border into Michigan every single year. We're not talking about a rounding error here. This volume makes up a massive 14.35% of all waste disposed of in Michigan landfills. Put another way, 1 out of every 7 tons of trash buried in Michigan comes directly from Ontario. So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The freezing waste drain. 2. Two walls closing in. 3. The Ontario capacity cliff. 4. The classification problem. 5. The digital refinery solution. And lastly, 6. The circular bioeconomy. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the freezing waste drain, also known as the Michigan squeeze. Which leads us right into Section 2, two walls closing in, tariffs and fees. So Michigan has historically been the cheapest disposal option in the Great Lakes region, acting as that essential pressure release valve for Ontario we just mentioned. But imagine a vice gripping this pipeline from both sides at the exact same time. On the left side, you've got a federal U.S. tariff wall. In Washington, Donald Trump proclaimed a first-ever use of Section 338 tariffs, essentially dropping a 50% wall on a basket of Canadian goods. And crucially for our story, wood and paper are explicitly included in that basket. Then, on the right side, you have a local state fee wall. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer proposed a massive increase in the state landfill tipping fee, taking it from a mere 36 cents all the way up to $5 a ton. This state fee is explicitly designed to price out Canadian waste imports. So you've got Washington taxing the border and Michigan taxing the landfill gate. We can actually trace the domino effect of exactly how we got here. The friction really kicked off in early 2025, with Ontario Premier Doug Ford floating a U.S.-bound electricity surcharge alongside provincial alcohol boycotts. Fast forward to July 1, 2026, and we saw the non-renewal of the USMCA, which is known up in Canada as CUSMA, triggering a wind-down period. All of this tension ultimately culminated in Washington on July 20, 2026, when the Trump Section 338 50% tariff was proclaimed, taking full effect just weeks later. When you look at this timeline, it reveals how disputes over dairy quotas, auto regulations, and alcohol completely inadvertently caught construction waste and wood as collateral damage in a massive trade dispute. Moving on to Section 3, the Ontario capacity cliff, a bathtub overflowing. Now, while that U.S. border is tightening and the Michigan drain is essentially freezing over, the domestic situation back in Ontario is incredibly urgent. Domestic landfill capacity is projected to run out entirely within the decade. The government is currently pushing Bill 5 to fast-track the EA-exempt Dresden landfill, and Toronto is even weighing incineration options. But the real, absolute hard stop is the upcoming 2029 RE Wood Clean Wood landfill ban, which leads right into a catastrophic 2034 capacity cliff. Without that Michigan drain, domestic disposal costs are going to absolutely skyrocket. Section 4, the classification problem, trash versus feedstock. Here is where things get truly fascinating. What if we reframe this? What if this isn't a physical trash disposal problem at all, but actually a data and classification problem? If you can definitively prove a load is pure, clean wood, its legal status transforms. Suddenly it isn't just trash to bury that's subject to those heavy Michigan fees, and it's no longer a tariffed wood product caught under that 50% Section 338 basket. By using a strict compliance thesis, provable clean wood waste becomes residual biocarbon feedstock, operating under a specific international classification known as HS 3825.0. It legally shifts into an entirely different, highly valuable tariff lane, effectively bypassing the squeeze altogether. But the absolute key word there is provable. Which brings us to Section 5, the Digital Refinery solution, explainable compliance. To achieve this undeniable proof at an industrial scale,
An information data company named 95wood stepped in with what they call the Sentient Bridge. Now, this isn't a physical structure you drive over. It's a highly sophisticated, 6-layer digital compliance and data firewall. Think of it as the intelligent connector between chaotic, mixed construction waste and the incredibly strict, high-purity requirements of the biocarbon market. It's a digital refinery that actually reclassifies the waste directly at the bin before a truck ever even moves. The magic starts right at Layer 1, the compliance gate. This is a perfect convergence of software and physical logistics. By operationalizing a Google Pixel 10 Pro running Android 16, they leverage the Light RIT AI stack directly on the Tensor G5 silicon. This means the AI can instantly distinguish clean wood from treated materials right there in the driver's hand. And it does this entirely offline in under 500 milliseconds, basically the blink of an eye. This Edge AI completely powers a 4-step digital refinery application workflow. Step 1, the customer submits a request for quote, or RFQ. Step 2, upon AI classification, the system generates a 9-point USMCA certificate of origin arguing that specific HS 3825.0 status we talked about. Step 3 is verification against the strict Ontario Regulation 347 leachate limits. And finally, Step 4 outputs the compliance. This UX workflow spits out a heavily encrypted PDF documentation feature containing the model version, GPS coordinates, and an exact timestamp. It acts as a court-ready digital passport, proving to any border auditor that the wood is in fact clean feedstock.
And finally, Section 6, the circular bioeconomy, reaping the rewards.
When you actually solve the data problem, the economic rewards are just massive. Ontario's wood waste levy, known as CIRCLE, acts as a powerful pricing signal. Take a look at this massive $55 spread between the clean rate, which is just $5 a ton, and the mixed rate at $60 a ton. By utilizing the Sentient Bridge to guarantee these clean loads, logistics fleets can swing over $1,000 per mothership load. For a standard operational fleet, that translates to saving over $200,000 every single week. But honestly, it goes way beyond just avoiding tariffs and landfill fees. This AI stack generates an incredible carbon dividend of roughly $2,674 per load in CO2 removal certificates, or CORCs. To put that simply, this is literal extra revenue being generated out of thin air via data, actually paying fleets to permanently lock away carbon. It enables Forest Edge's Scope 3 ESG tracking and opens up a direct pathway to turn this wood into biochar through pyrolysis. By operationalizing this entire tech stack, 95wood effectively secures Ontario's industrial leadership in the global circular bioeconomy. So, the crucial point I want you to take away from this explainer is a fundamental shift in identity. Because the plumbing of their sales funnel is fixed by this tech, they are officially classified under NAICS 51, meaning they're an information data company that just happens to move wood. In the middle of a wildly complex trade war, the physical transport of the material is completely secondary. Explainable compliance itself is the actual most valuable product they offer. I think their ultimate strategy is captured perfectly by this quote. 2 walls closed on the corridor. 905wood didn't fight the walls. It built a door only clean, provable wood can walk through. By transforming an infrastructure and tariff emergency into a highly secure digital carbon passport, they successfully navigated a squeeze where practically everyone else just froze. I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If an Edge AI compliance app running on a smartphone can legally reroute international trade wars and bypass federal tariffs, are the logistics and waste management companies of tomorrow actually just data companies in disguise? It is a fascinating look at how the future of our global supply chains will evolve through edge computing and explainable compliance. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive explainer, and as always, keep questioning how the world around you actually works.